weather outside says that it's fall. What comes after fall? Winter. And what does that mean? Basketball. On today's edition of Mastodon Spotlight, we'll look at the men's and women's basketball programs, and we'll be chatting with the new head coaches, Doug Knoll of the men's team and Carl Semesco of the women's team. It's basketball on the menu today on Mastodon Spotlight, and it comes up next. Hi again, everybody. My name's Mike Maz, and welcome to another edition of Mastodon Spotlight. As I mentioned a moment ago, the leaves are falling, and it is fall outside, but that means winter is right around the corner, and winter here in Fort Wayne means basketball. And on today's show, we are going to talk IPFW basketball, men's and women's. And our first guest today is the new head coach of the men's team, Doug Knoll. Doug, belated welcome to campus, and thanks for appearing on the show.
Thanks, Mike. It's been about 5 months, so I feel kind of a part of the campus now and the community, but we're ready to go for the basketball season here.
For the benefit of some of our viewers that don't know anything about you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, actually, Fort Wayne is kind of my hometown. I'm from Bern, Indiana, just south here, 30 miles. So I've grown up in the area. I went to coach at Malone College in Canton, Ohio. Grace College in Warsaw, Winona Lake, and then the last 7 years I spent at Spring Arbor College in Spring Arbor, Michigan, before coming back here to Fort Wayne, kind of coming back home.
Now, looking at a little bit of a biographical sketch, one of the things that you have to be most proud of is while you were coach at Grace, you coached a national NAIA championship team back in 1991 and 92. If you can for a moment, let's go back and relive a little bit about that exciting year for you.
Yeah, that was very fulfilling as a coach. Obviously, it happened early in the career, so hopefully we've got time to win another couple. But it was a great team. We started out the year before winning 17 games. Had a couple redshirt kids, and they ended up being eligible the following year. And from day one, it was really a special team. They weren't selfish. The chemistry was right. Their goals every day were to come to practice and make each other better. And we proceeded to win our first 14 games. Ended up actually losing the district championship to Franklin College, 118 to 110 at Grace. But we did get an at-large, went out to the national tournament. In the second round, actually played Franklin again and beat them by 36 points. So we made up for that fact, and then ended up going to the national championship game, had an overtime game against Northwestern out of Iowa before prevailing. And it was just a great life experience for the kids, for the coaches, and for everyone involved. And so it was an exciting time as an assistant coming back and coaching with the coach that was my head coach my senior year when I played at Grace College. And so that was real exciting, and then off to Spring Arbor for 7 years. And actually we had a team that went to the Elite Eight and was ranked number 4 in the nation, and a very similar team. So we won 29 games that year with Spring Arbor. And so it was really in the 90s actually had some good success, but those were really two teams that really stick out in my mind.
If we can for a moment, let's talk about the factors that led to you making the move from Spring Arbor down here to Fort Wayne. How did it come about, the contact and the thought process?
Well, actually, there was some opportunities about 3 years earlier. I did interview for the job then, and obviously it wasn't the right timing. We enjoyed Spring Arbor. We had built the program up to kind of a national power, and we were right in that stretch where I really didn't want to leave. We had some great kids, and so passed on that. But 3 years later, things were a little different. I had a son 3 years earlier who was just a sophomore in high school, and now at this point in time he was graduated. So we came down, again, looked at the campus, everything involved, and actually let him come down, too, to make a decision, because I really didn't want to make his college choice for him. And I said, you know, if you want to stay at Spring Arbor, that's fine. He'd gotten quite a bit of interest from Division I's, Division II's, but kind of put the burden on him to say, I want you to choose your college. And when he came down, he thought about it for a couple days, but then said, you know, let's do it. So I was pretty excited about that, and we've, you know, made the move, and it's been a great move so far. So really looking forward to the season. Got a great group of kids this year. We had to go out and recruit about 9 kids in a 2-month window, but I've got an exciting senior group of 6 seniors that I really think is going to be the focal point, the stable part of our team. And you know, your team's only as good as your seniors, and I think that's going to allow us to you know, compete in the league that we're in.
Why don't we take a moment, Coach, and talk about those kids, starting with the seniors?
Well, we've got 3 kids that played last year that are seniors this year. Randy Spicer, who led the league in assists and was all academic. We've got Aaron Ishman, 6'6" post player. And we got Steve Griffin, who was honorable mention all-league. So we've really got a good nucleus with those 3 kids coming back, and they're all going to see a lot of playing time. All 3 could possibly start. Then we've got really 2 red shirts. Micah Connie, who will be eligible December 22nd against Kent State when we play them, and Benji Gibbs, who's a Division I transfer as well. And Benji will be able to play right away. And then we have a walk-on senior who actually was on campus doing some playing with the volleyball team, Dave Meschberger, who's 6'10", and he's from my high school, so I knew him and his family, and he walked in and asked if, you know, there'd be a spot for him or if he could try out, and you don't turn down a whole lot of 6'10" kids. So that worked out really well, and that group of you know, 6 kids, I think, are really going to be and play a vital role in you know, our success for this year.
What type of style do you prefer to play on the court? An up and down game, or a pattern offense, or a slowdown, or what can we look forward to seeing on the court this year?
Well, I think because of the players that we have and the style that I like to play, I think you're going to see a very up-tempo basketball game. In fact, our kind of motto this year is 94 for 40. In other words, we want to play 94 feet for 40 minutes. We're going to press. We're going to look at a lot of different areas of ball pressure, from zone full court press to run and jump to man-to-man full court. And then in the half-court situation, we'll just try to get the ball out of the point guard's hands as much as we can. Offensively, we'll get it up and down the floor. We want to, dealing with the 35-second shot clock, Mike, you know, a lot of times when you really look at the percentages of shots in the last 10 seconds, the shooting percentage is not very good. So what we want to do is we want to take the first opportunities that we have to look for a good shot. Some people call it run and gun. I like to call it a controlled fast break because we do know where we're going. We do know what we're doing on our breaks. We just want to make sure that, you know, if we make one pass and we got a good look at it, that the guys understand we're going to take the shot. Kind of like football, where your running game sets up your passing game, very similar to ours, where our inside game is going to try to set up our outside game. And so we've got different offenses that we'll run to as far as spread offenses, a lot of motion, but we want to score a certain percentage off our defense, a certain percentage off our break, and then, of course, a certain percentage off our half-court offense. But if people come out to watch us this year, which we hope they do, they'll see an exciting brand of basketball.
Let's talk a little bit about the schedule. And I know you had nothing to do with the making of the schedule, but taking a look, you start after a couple of exhibitions. You've got the Summit City Shootout towards the end of November here, which involves IPFW, Indiana Tech, Tri-State, and St. Francis. And I know you're familiar with Tri-State from having been in the same conference. And then you come back after that with 3 games against St. Joseph's College, and then conference action starts with Southern Indiana and Southern Illinois Edwardsville. 5 games all at home, but then you turn around and play 7 of the next 8 on the road. Talk about that a little bit. Obviously you want to get off to a good start at home, but then you get that tough stretch on the road.
Right. Well, actually we did set the schedule ourselves other than conference. When I came in, the schedule was not set other than the league games that the conference gives you. So we went out looking for the best teams we could play, because I really feel like you're going to get better when you play better teams. And there's an NCAA rule that says, you know, you've got to play 20 games at least this year, Division II or Division I. Next year it'll be 22 games. So we didn't really look at that. We just went out and said, okay, let's see who is available, and let's see the best teams we could play. We called some Division I's. Ended up getting Kent State, which went to the big dance last year, a top 64 team. That'll be exciting for our guys. We have a stretch of Hillsdale, Saginaw Valley State, and Ferris State, who are all out of the GLIAC in Michigan, Division IIs, which will be very good. But don't underestimate the three NAIA schools, because I've played against them all, coached against them all. They're great programs. Tri-State won 27 games last year, beat a Division I team. St. Francis had their best year so far under Coach Reckaway with 22 wins, and Indiana Tech is always very athletic, and they're going to press you for 40 minutes. So these three teams this year in our Summit City Shootout are going to be exceptional teams, and I think it's up for grabs who's going to win the tournament. The downside now that I'm with Division II is these teams all have 5 and 6 games in when we just start. But we're going to try to have a couple good exhibition games against some real good opponents to get us ready. That stretch of 6 or 7 games on the road will be tough, but we're hoping that it helps us as we go through conference, because obviously our conference is very brutal. Going to Kentucky Wesleyan's, Southern Indiana's, Northern Kentucky's, places like this. So we want to play as good a schedule as we can in hopes that it's going to make us road tough when we get to those games.
And it all starts with Midnight Madness when?
This Thursday night at midnight. Actually, Thursday night at midnight becomes Friday morning, and October 15th, which is the first time we're allowed to practice. So we're very excited about Midnight Madness. The players said they wanted to do it. So we said, okay, let's get something put together. Student Association's doing a great job. I know, I think the doors are going to open around 9:30. We've got some T-shirts for the first 75 kids. The students coming in, they're going to have some 3-on-3 tournaments and some shootouts for prizes. We're going to donate some of those things to them. And then we're even going to offer a half-court shot if a person makes it for full tuition for the spring. So, we'll put every student that comes in can put their name down on a piece of paper. We'll pick one, draw it, and right before midnight, we'll have that person come out to half court, and if they make the shot, they'll get full tuition for the spring. And then we'll come out, and basically we're not going to spend much time because we've got to practice that day then about 1 o'clock. But we'll get out there and do a few things, have a few contests with the guys, introduce everybody, and maybe play like a 10-minute running game just to get everybody up and down the floor a little bit. So I think it's going to be an exciting evening. Some people can get to see the new team that we have this year. I think everybody's excited, and our guys have been working extremely hard.
It does sound exciting, and we hope everyone does come out and watch IPFW basketball this year. Doug, thanks for taking some time with us, and we look forward, as we'll be visiting during the course of the season, on the Doug Noll Show here on Channel 56. So, again, welcome and good luck.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Doug Noll, head men's basketball coach here at IPFW. We'll take a break. When we come back, it's women's basketball with new head coach Carl Semesko. That's when Mastodon Spotlight continues in just a moment.
For the Mastodon Minute, I'm Sean Lee. Women's volleyball had 3 games over the week, and IPFW was playing St. Joseph on Wednesday night. IPFW was serving, and there we are with the kill. And moving on to more action, there's Boysonet with the kill. Kamaish is now serving. And you'll see number 4, Courtney Boysonet with another kill. She had a great night. St. Joseph is now serving. Douglas with the big kill. St. Joseph serving again. You'd think they learned their lesson, right? Sorry. Thank you for playing. And Sarah Calhoun serving. And there is Jenny Miller with the spectacular play. Blocked by Rachel Brown, and IPFW wins in straight sets as the crowd rejoices. Friday, IPFW played Missouri St. Louis. And IPFW was serving there, and they got the point. Moving on to further action, there's IPFW with the big kill. And moving on to game point of the first game, you will see IPFW here not do anything because they hit it out of bounds. More action. Moving on to the second game, there is Tamish with the big kill. And the crowd rejoices as Missouri St. Louis goes down in a fiery ball of flames on Friday night. The score was 15-6, 5-15, 15-0, and 15-7. Douglas had 17 digs. Ish had 46 assists. Saturday, IPFW was playing Quincy. And in the honor of Jack Klugman, Quincy just got embalmed. As you see, IPFW with the kill against Quincy. Douglas serves now serving, and the block by Boysenette. And IPFW was just serving. You see another great kill by IPFW. And an ace by IPFW. And Ish serving. And we're going to make Quincy, instead of playing volleyball, they will be playing bowling for dollars. You see what I mean right now. Boysenette will have the kill right about here and there as it goes right down the alley. IPFW wins in straight sets, 2-11 and 13. Quincy's 8 service errors really didn't help him much today, and Boysenette's 15 kills basically put him away. Men's soccer this week, IPFW tied with SIU Edwardsville 0-0 on Friday, and Saturday the game was postponed due to Southern Indiana's lack of any drainage on their field. Also, it was raining cats and dogs. Women's soccer wish they could have got that lucky as they lose 9-0 to Southern Illinois Edwardsville and 11-0 to Southern Indiana. Women's tennis in the GLVC tourney, IPFW won the first round matches 5-1, as you see the women that won their games, and lost in the semifinals to SIU Edwardsville 5-1. Good job this season, ladies. And here is a list of upcoming events for IPFW Athletics. And for the Mastodon Minute, I'm Sean Lee.
Welcome back to Mastodon Spotlight. As we mentioned, the menu today calls for basketball. We just heard from men's coach Doug Knoll. Now it's time for the women to have their say. And we welcome to the program new women's basketball coach Carl Semesco. Carl, welcome to the program and welcome to IPFW.
Thank you. It's very good to be here.
Taking a look at your resume, so to speak, and I'm really enthused. You came here from the University of Maryland, Division I program, ACC, and when people think basketball, be it men or women, ACC is one of the most popular in the conferences in the country. Talk about your experiences with Division I, big-time ACC basketball.
Well, it was quite an experience coming from, before that, I was at Walsh University, which is a small college, and going to the University of Maryland, which is, I mean, one of the premier institutions in the country when it comes to academics and when it comes to, you know, basketball in particular. And I mean, just things like Midnight Madness, having 14,000 people, standing room only, lights, Van Halen music blasting, and Clark Kellogg introducing you and things like that. It's and then going to play in places like Carmichael and Carolina where Michael Jordan played, and going to Duke and Clemson and Virginia, some of the places that you'd previously only seen on TV and watched all those games on TV, and now you're actually a part of the action and contributing to trying to win in those places. It was I mean, it was a great experience. I mean, it was a real positive experience. I learned a great deal about what goes on at the highest level of competition for the women, and you know, there's just some real things that happen that you just never forget. I think I'll take some of those moments away, you know, for the rest of my life.
Is it true that in the ACC, basketball is bigger than life?
It sure seems that way. It sure seems that way. I just know when Duke, for the men, were coming in to play Maryland, and both teams were ranked in the top 5 in the country, I must have received 100 calls for tickets. I didn't even have tickets because I could have ordered them, but we were on the road the same time, so I didn't even order tickets. And I mean, people offering $1,000 to $1,500 for a pair of tickets for one regular season game. And you know, I'm used to being in places where people get in free if they have a student ID. So it was quite a change, and it was a real exciting thing. Just all the enthusiasm and all the spirit at the school for, you know, just seeing good basketball.
Well, change may be the operative word right now, because from that experience, and you say thousands and thousands of people, you made the move, made the decision to come here to Fort Wayne to coach the Lady Mastodons. How did that come about?
Well, after the season, you know, I evaluated. You know, I'm glad that I experienced what I did, but really, I mean, in my heart, I know that my goal is to be a head coach. And, you know, I could have stayed there a few more years, but it wouldn't have been doing what I love to do. I like to have a more direct responsibility for the wins and losses of a program. And, you know, there's a head coach, and that person usually shoulders most of the responsibility for that. So after the season, I made a decision that I wanted to get back into being a head coach, and just set a few parameters. I wanted to be either a Division I program in the Midwest or a Division II program that had the ability to be one of the top programs in the country. And, you know, some opportunities came about, and, you know, I may not have took the most lucrative position, but I think I took a position that was well thought out. This is you know, when I think of basketball for Division II, I mean, this is a premier conference for basketball in Division II, and it looked like some of the, you know, there is obviously work to be done with this program, but I thought it was very doable when I talked to the athletic director and all the people involved, and how supportive they are and how much they want to see basketball become a more important, or take a more important role at this university. So, you know, from the outside in, it may not look like, you know, the brightest move or the right step, but, you know, I've been nothing but pleased with the things that I've seen since I've been here.
If you can, for a moment, Carl, you talk about wanting to take on responsibilities. What are some of the major differences between a head coach and an assistant coach?
Well, my responsibilities at Maryland didn't involve recruiting, other than to look at videotapes and determine whether we wanted to recruit the player or not. I didn't contact them or call them. You know, the head coach calls all the shots. How, you know, I may have been handling individual workouts and conditioning and things like that, but it was the head coach determined how that was going to take place, and rightfully so. I'm the same way. And then, you know, offenses, defenses, when you change things, I was in charge of all our scouting, so I would prepare and say, this is what happens in this situation, this is what they're going to do in this situation, and, you know, being the top bench assistant, having that. But ultimately, the head coach has to decide, because the head coach is the one who takes the fall if it doesn't work, or gets the glory if it does work. And I just, you know, it was a great situation, but at the same time, I wanted that ultimate responsibility. So the assistant can contribute, and the assistant is a very vital role of getting things done and making sure things run smoothly, but the responsibility of success and failure, it isn't the same.
You mentioned that you've got your work cut out for you here. You're inheriting a team that last year won only 2 of 26 ball games. When you came on board and you saw what you had, what were your first thought processes of what to do to turn this thing around?
Well, I mean, obviously there was a need, you know, to recruit and to bring in some players, but then the other responsibility is with the players you have, to make them better basketball players, to develop them. See, you know, by watching the tapes, or unfortunately we had to wait till the because of when we came in. Wait till the next fall to actually see them play, to determine what weaknesses they have that need to be developed, what strengths they have that we can play to. But we have some players that were on last year's team, and you want them to be productive in the system, and you want to see what they can do to help you, achieve greater levels of success. And so it's really just evaluate what you have and try to bring in the best players that you can. I mean, I think that's probably the same wherever you go, but maybe even to a greater degree here.
Let's talk about some of the players that you have on this year's squad.
Okay.
And it's a young squad. Looking at the roster, you've only got one senior and
Yep.
2 juniors, and the rest freshmen and sophomores. Talk about your team.
Well, we are a young team. Not extremely experienced, but I'd take a talented team without experience over an experienced team without talent, any day. So I think we got, in our freshman class. I came here May 1st. By May 15th, we had signed 5 players, and a week later we had 2 more. So these are players that I like, and I think they can contribute right away. 3 of them were Indiana's top 40, listed as one of the top 40 senior players in Indiana. Unfortunately, one of those players, Amy Gerald, is already most likely out for the year with knee surgery. But I think we really did a nice job in the summer bringing in players to increase our depth and our talent level. And then we got players coming back, like Kara Moore started almost every game last year, if not every game. That's a sophomore guard. Christy McMillan, another sophomore guard, started just about every game last year. So even though it may not have been a positive experience, they were learning on the floor. Now we need to change some attitude about, expecting to win and really what it's going to mean to be a team that expects to win rather than a team just to go out there to compete. Laura Douglas, who is an outstanding volleyball player, we don't get her right away, and we hope the volleyball team advances as far as it can go. I think it has a realistic chance at the national tournament this year, so we're not counting on Laura right away, but she's a person that after she joined the team last year started the majority of games, so she has some experience. So there is some ability there. A lot of it's going to be determined on how coachable they are, how well they learn to work together, how motivated they are, cohesive, more team building things, and then we're going to develop skills and, try to keep things pretty simple and more develop on work ethic than, necessarily a talent part of it.
Realistically, Carl, what would be a successful season for IPFW women's team this year?
Well, I really think whenever someone says it's hard to measure in wins and losses, that means they don't expect to do well. We expect to do well. How many wins that is, it's tough to say at this point because we haven't even been through a first practice, and you don't know how they're going to come together and how, when it comes real tough, they have to bounce back from a loss or things aren't going just the way they wanted or they're used to playing more than they are playing now. All those things really affect the success of a team, and not being around them in that kind of situation, it's hard to say, being the first year. But I expect us to be competitive right away. I won't, I'm not one of those people that say, oh, this is a rebuilding year, give us a chance. I expect us to be in ball games, and I expect us to play smart and play hard and be disciplined and take care of the basketball and do all those types of things so that we are in ball games. So, it's tough to say, wins and losses. I mean, we could win a lot more games than a lot of people expect us to, and I might not think it's successful depending on what kind of attitude we built within the team. And then, we might not win that many, and I'd say, we made a lot of strides this year. So, that's a question best for maybe January or something like that, where we can determine what we've started to build with this team and where they are in accepting roles and their ability to help us. And, but me personally, I expect to win.
Well, it's a great attitude to have, and hopefully you can deliver that to the rest of your team. And again, we want to thank you for spending some time with us. Belated welcome to Fort Wayne, and good luck in the coming season.
Well, thank you very much.
That's women's head basketball coach Carl Semesco. That's all we have for today's edition of Mastodon Spotlight. Again, we want to thank our coaches for appearing with us, and we want to thank you for tuning in. And we invite you to tune in again next week for another edition of Mastodon Spotlight. Until then, this is Mike Moss saying, have a great week, and go Dons. It's stretch time for the IPFW soccer programs, and on today's edition of Mastodon Spotlight, we will highlight two of the members of the men's soccer team, and we'll talk about an historic event that took place this past Saturday with the women's program as well. Soccer on the menu today on Mastodon Spotlight, and it's coming up next.
It was called the greatest generation any society has ever produced. They were ordinary people who half a century ago did nothing less than help save the world. Millions served in uniform, millions more served at home, and nearly 500,000 gave their lives. And yet there is no national memorial to honor their sacrifice. It is time to say thank you.
Call now and help build the National World War II Memorial.
Hi again, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Mastodon Spotlight. My name is Mike Moss. Today, as we said, it's soccer on the menu, and we're going to talk with first the men's soccer program, Coach Terry Stefankowitz, and he has brought along a couple of his key players. And then later in the program, it's Pam Lewin talking about an historic event that took place this past Saturday with the women's program. But first and foremost, Terry, welcome back to the program, and how about introducing our two guests today?
Thanks, Mike. It's my pleasure. I brought two ends of the spectrum. I brought a freshman. This is Ian Luya. He's an offensive midfielder. And our defensive midfielder, Dave Smith. Dave's a senior and a captain, and he's been here for 4 years.
Gentlemen, welcome to Mastodon Spotlight. Dave, I'll start with you first. As Coach said, you're a senior. Talk about your experiences, not just this year, but throughout the time you spent here at IPFW.
Yeah, at first it was pretty rough at first. First couple of years, had a couple losing records. Finally got some good players in, made all the difference, competitive practices, and carried over to the games, and finally starting to win.
You're from Elkhart Central High School, up in the South Bend area. Well known for their football program, but talk about the soccer program from the high school level up there. Did you play all 4 years high school
Yeah,
soccer?
I played all 4 years. We were pretty good. We made it to state twice. We had a good program.
You have that one school nearby called Penn.
Yeah.
Talk about the rivalry between Elkhart Central and Penn.
Yeah, we were pretty close. They're only like 20 minutes away, so we play them like it was a big rivalry for football. We had a good rivalry for soccer too. That we were a lot better than they were in soccer, but the football program was a little different.
Talk about his high school career. This guy was a super athlete. He was one of the top track people. He was a quarterback on the football team. He played soccer, so he's not only a soccer player, but he's an all-around athlete as well.
How did you find your way down to IPFW from up in Elkhart, where there's a little school in South Bend called Notre Dame that I'm sure showed interest?
I just got a call from Coach Stefankowitz, and he just talked to me, and I came down and visited and liked it. So I don't really know how he got a hold of me, but it's that way. So I enjoyed the campus, so I just came down here.
Coach just mentioned you played football as well as soccer. How difficult a decision was it to continue on playing soccer in college as opposed to maybe going someplace else that has a football program?
Well, actually, my sophomore year in high school, I had to make a decision because my junior year came around and soccer got changed to the fall, so I had to make a choice. And I didn't really enjoy football that much. You know, I liked it, but I thought soccer was more of my calling, so I went with that.
Let's talk academics for a second. You're a senior, hopefully going to graduate this coming spring. What is your major, and what do you hope to accomplish following graduation?
Business management's my major right now. I don't know if I'll be done this spring, but I'll be done soon. After that, I don't know. You know, we'll kind of see, put my resume out and see what happens.
But from an athletic standpoint, once the season ends, that's it as far as any soccer? No thoughts about maybe trying to take it to another level or anything like that?
No, I've pretty much realized that I'm done after this fall. Kind of just continue on with my life, what I'm going to do.
What has IPFW meant to you, both as a student and as a soccer player?
As a soccer player, I'll start first. It means a lot. Just we're finally, you know, starting to get a really good team. Just seeing how we started off, you know, we really struggled, and just the overall improvements. You know, that means a lot. You know, I've been around, went through all the hard times. As a student, I guess it's kind of tough a lot of times. Like, it's not a big college campus, but it's got a good social life, and I think the athletics kind of help out with that.
How have you been able to balance academics and athletics? Because number one reason for being here, surprisingly maybe to some, is not to play soccer, but to obtain a degree to further yourself for what happens further down the road in life. So how difficult has the transition been between trying to balance soccer on the one hand and going to class and taking tests and so forth on the other?
It's been hard. You know, there's times like in the spring it's not as bad because we're not traveling. Or in the fall it can be tough. You know, we got to miss a lot of classes. As long as I stay on top of it, you know, keep every night just doing my work, and it's not too bad.
Well, congratulations on the career you've had here at IPFW, and keep it going. You still got a ways to go, and we'll talk about that shortly. But
Mike, if I could interject something here. He's the captain of this team. You asked him about what it's like on the soccer side. This guy has taken ownership in this team. This is his team. This is his last year, and he remembers when we were in the doldrums. We started, I think, what, 8 freshmen your freshman year?
Yeah, something.
And now we've got a group of upperclassmen, and we've got a great mix. And from top to bottom, the level of play is really, really good. And he alluded to the fact that our practices are more competitive, and that's the reason. But as far as leadership, he's our spokesman on the field, and he's a take-control kind of guy. He's also scored 3 goals this year in his senior year, so we're real proud of that as well.
well, kudos to you, Dave.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Now let's talk to our friend from across the pond, freshman Ian Lulia. Ian, welcome to IPFW. And as we mentioned off camera, I was going to ask this question. How did you find your way across this side of the pond you're from England?
Yeah, that's right.
How did you end up over here in the States?
Well, my mum works at a hospital in England, and she knows some people from Warsaw, you know, just an hour from here. And they offered for me to come and visit them in February, and they offered to show me around a few schools because I said that I wanted to come to the States and play soccer and get my degree as well at the same time. And they took me to a few schools like Notre Dame and Valparaiso, IU at Bloomington, Butler in Indianapolis, so just get a wide range of different schools to have a look at, and IPFW as well. And coach gives you the great 3-hour tour of the campus, and that helped me to decide to come here. So
You mentioned among the schools that you looked at IU and Bloomington, and coach knows IU, one of the best major college soccer programs in the country. How difficult was it to decide to come up here to IPFW as opposed to playing for a national power and defending national champions in NCAA Division I?
I think you have to look at it at the academic side as well. With the size of Bloomington, like, the classes are obviously going to be huge as well, and from an education standpoint, the classes are obviously much smaller here, and you've got a better chance of getting, you know, more class time with a teacher, you know, one-to-one, that sort of thing. So that was one of the reasons. Plus, I didn't know whether I'd even get on at IU, you know, the team. I wasn't too sure of what sort of standard of play was like in America in Division II or Division I. So this, I think, was the best option all around for me to get settled in and see what it was like first and foremost.
I think an obvious question that I have to ask, how can you compare the soccer that's played over in England, where it's a hotbed, as opposed to soccer over here in the U.S.?
It seems strange to me, you know, in England, everywhere you go there's soccer fields or whatever, whereas in Indiana you walk past every driveway and there's a basketball hoop or whatever, that sort of thing, so that's pretty much different. But IPFW is obviously different because it doesn't have a football team, and that obviously, you know, helps the soccer program or whatever. And in terms of playing, it's a lot more physical in England than it is here, probably. But I've been pretty impressed with the standards so far. Obviously, you get some teams in the conference that are weaker than others or whatever, but generally, I've been pretty much impressed with what I've seen and all that's gone on so far. So,
Coach, talk about his play so far this year.
I'll tell you what he brings to us. There are two top qualities. One, in England, they play 1 and 2 touch. Everything is received and gotten rid of right away, and the speed of the game is much, much faster. So he's brought that to our team. When we get the ball out on the wing with Ian, we know it's going to be crossed into the middle, and it's forcing our guys to make better runs into the middle because they know that Ian's going to play it. On the other, the second part is the fact that his restarts are deadly. He scored a winning goal against Quincy with 1:30 left, and he's had some really near misses. So everybody in the conference is gearing up for Ian Luya right now in terms of restarts. So now it gives us another option later in the season to try and find some other people. We had a wall set up last week in which we could have tapped the ball to Watson for a goal, and that was created by Ian as well. So Ian is creating things whether he has the ball or not because he's a dangerous player and he plays the ball quickly.
Though Ian's classified as a freshman academically, from a soccer standpoint, how is he classified? Obviously, I don't think he's a freshman, but where would you classify him?
Well, we alluded to the fact that we have upperclassmen playing for us now. He's the only freshman that's starting. So that kind of tells you where he fit right in. He was injured the first week. We were going to put him in the middle of the field, and he got injured, and he lost a week, and he has probably, Dave was always one of our faster players, not so much faster, but his endurance was great, and he would always win these longer wind sprints. Well, now Ian's always in first. So we needed that speed on the outside, and he provides that for us. And what I like is that other teams now have to be concerned about our scoring potential from the outside, which we've never had before.
Ian, though you're only a freshman, what are your goals that you hope to accomplish while you're here at IPFW?
Academically, I'm taking history as my major, but I plan probably to go home after the 4 years and take a postgraduate degree in England in physical education. So I want to teach physical education and have history, you know, as my second subject to teach, and do that sort of thing. Also, I just really want to help IPFW, you know, get as high as they can in the national rankings and gain more respect for the program generally.
Speaking of national rankings, Coach, you finally made it in the top 25 in the country. Talk about the last few games that you've had, and talk about what it means to be coaching a nationally ranked team.
Well, we're all very, very excited. When we first were ranked 2 weeks ago, it was in the newspapers, and there was a big buzz on campus, and it's kind of settled down now, but in that period of time, we've got 3 more shutouts. As of last week, we were ranked 4th in the nation in team defense, and Jeff Ritchie right now has only given up 7 goals in 14 games. That's our goalkeeper with a .50 goals against, and that's really an outstanding performance. It's not just Jeff Ritchie. It's guys like Dave Smith and Brian Knitter and Canablo and Ryland. Our defense has been really, really outstanding. So I think that soccer, you start out with team defense and then work on the attack, and our defense has been great, and that's been our mainstay.
In our final minute in this segment, Coach, on the board you've got coming Saturday, game against Northern Kentucky. Briefly talk about that matchup.
Well, Dave, you've been here this is your 4th year. Have we ever beaten them?
No, we tied them.
Tied them once. They're coming here. We have an opportunity to perhaps, if we win the last 3 games in the conference, we have perhaps an opportunity to host the GLVC conference tournament, which would be an all-time first at IPFW. This is a huge game because it's our last home game in the conference. They've been a nemesis for us. They play a very physical, fast game. So we need some support from the community and from the faculty and staff like they have been. It's been a tremendous, tremendous outpour of people coming out to the game. So we really appreciate it. But we've got to keep it going. We can't stop now.
Well, you're having a great season, as you said, ranked 24th in the country, a record of 10-2-2, and hopefully good things are still going to happen. We want to thank all of you for appearing today. Ian, again, welcome to the States. Dave, congratulations on a great career. Keep it going. And Terry, as I said, keep it going.
Thank you.
That's men's soccer coach Terry Stefankowitz, along with two of his players, Dave Smith and Elian Lulia. We'll take a break, and when we come back, it's women's soccer with Pam Lewin. That's when Mastodon Spotlight returns in just a moment.
Get the keys. Friends don't let friends drive drunk.
For the Mastodon Minute, I'm Sean Lee. Slow week this week. Women's volleyball have one game as they beat Grand Valley State in 4 sets. Boys Annette and Douglas have 40 kills, and Niche had 63 assists. Men's soccer coming up. IPFW won both their games over this week, beating Huntington 4-0 and beating Kentucky Wesleyan 5-0. And now the big story of the week. Women's soccer. Kentucky Wesleyan beat IPFW 4-2. We scored 2 goals though. Augsburger had a goal, the first goal in school history. Johnson had another goal in the second half. Great job. And here's a list of IPFW athletics coming up this week. And for the Mastodon Minute, I'm Sean Lee.
Mr. and Mrs. Jones, Sally's having some behavioral problems.
I guess that reward system isn't working.
Well, the timeouts weren't either.
You know, parents do find that timeouts aren't...
See?
Well, you're just too lenient.
Well, you're too strict.
No, you are.
Oh, you are.
No, you are.
No, you are.
When adults don't have the answers, they can feel as frustrated as kids. ConnectForKids.org has thousands of resources for helping kids in your community. ConnectForKids.org, guidance for grown-ups.
Welcome back to Mastodon Spotlight. Our guest now is the women's coach at IPFW, Pam Lewin. And Pam, again, welcome back to the show. I mentioned at the top of the broadcast an historic event took place this last Saturday. Why don't you tell our viewers exactly what that event was?
Well, the first time in the history of women's soccer we scored a goal. And it happened in the first 5 minutes of the game. It was very exciting. We haven't had many opportunities to take corner kicks. One of our players has been working very hard on the corner kick for us, Nikki Strack, and she lined up for the corner kick, put it across. She came into play. The ball got played back out to her, went over the goalie's head, and we had Gretchen Augsburger right there at the far post, and she just tapped it in. It was beautiful.
First goal. It's a shame it was on the road. It was a game against Kentucky Wesleyan.
It really was a shame. I mean, the players have worked tremendously hard from day one, and each time that we come in to speak, I feel like I keep telling you how hard they work. And I said to them at some point, you know, it's unfortunate that I'm the only one that knows that they're great players. We tend to go out there on the day of the game, and we don't look as great as we looked in practice. They stay after practice. They work really hard. I give them a lot of credit. They made that goal happen.
Obviously there was joy and celebration, but what was the reaction when all of a sudden, boom, IPFW ladies are on the board?
Well, you know, it was the first time we've been leading. Also, that was probably historic as well. It was 1-0. Gretchen scored it. She turned around. Her arms were up in the air. The players on the bench, we stood up. We were cheering for them. We had a couple of parents that actually made that long drive down to northern Kentucky. They were up in the stands. I told the players at the end that I thought it was just, you know, so exciting that moment that I just had wished that the parents hadn't yelled, "Yeah, our first goal!" Just, you know, like, yeah, we always score goals. But they were up there. They knew it was our first goal. I mean, everybody was excited. The players all crashed each other. You'd have thought that we won the World Cup. It was that exciting.
Gretchen didn't pull a Brandy Chastain, did she?
No. She kept all of her clothing on.
You were up 1-0. Though you did end up losing the game 4-2, you did score another goal.
We actually scored in each half. That was kind of nice. Gretchen Augsburger comes to us from Bishop Luers, and then her rival, Erin Johnson from Bishop DeWanger, scored our second goal. And so that was kind of neat. It was Erin's birthday the day before, and I asked her if she made an appropriate wish, and it would appear that she had, so it all worked out.
Let's talk about the progress of the team. It's great. We finally scored a goal. In fact, scored 2 goals, so now they know what that feels like to be able to produce offensively.
Right.
And it was a close game, 4-2. So it's probably the most competitive game I would think they've had.
Yeah, there was two factors. I don't like to blame anything on outside factors usually, but 2 things that occurred. There was 2 penalty kicks given to Kentucky Wesleyan, and there was also a questionable offsides call that didn't happen, and that produced 3 of their goals. They never had the third referee show up to the game, so they went with a 2-man system. That's a little bit tougher to call the offsides with, but I mean it was pretty obvious to everybody, and so that didn't help us out. Again, like you said, I wish it was, you know, here on our field so that, you know, more of our parents could have seen it, more of our fans could have come out and watched. But like I said, I mean, they have put so much time in at practice. They've never gotten down on themselves. That's a big credit to them. They stay after practice. They've started working with some of the guys on the men's team, you know, asking them questions, and it helps that they're successful. It helps us out. And then they go and we usually watch the men play afterwards, and I'm hoping that they'll start to imitate how they play. So all of that has been contributing to their success, and it was a success for us to score that first goal, and it was great that we scored the second. And I think that the last thing I asked them at the end of the game was, "Did you have fun?" And they said yes, and so hopefully we'll have fun against Saginaw Valley tomorrow away.
Let's talk. We've got 3 other matches before the conference tournament. You mentioned Saginaw Valley, which, as this show is aired, will have already been played on Tuesday. And then we've got the final home game, as we see up on the board, Saturday against Northern Kentucky, and followed by a game at Bellarmine College on Sunday. Let's talk about those 3 games.
Well, Saginaw we don't really know that much about. They're in the GLIAC. We've played a couple of the other teams in the GLIAC early on in preseason. It would be neat to have the team where we are now play them again to see if it wouldn't be a different story. So that'll be interesting against Saginaw Valley. Northern Kentucky ran into some trouble when they played Southern Indiana and Southern Illinois University Edwardsville. They were ranked 5th in the nation, and then they had 2 losses against them that weekend. So I don't know how I haven't seen the polls yet to see where they're at, but it's going to be an extremely tough game for us because now they have a little bit of pressure on them. It would be great if we could be a spoiler, you know, score a goal and then hold them off. And then we have Bellarmine, who is probably going to be a really competitive game for us, hopefully an opportunity to win one now that we have the goal scored. But realistically, Bellarmine is probably our best opportunity to win one. Northern Kentucky would be great to go out against that caliber of a team for our confidence and score some goals. So it looks pretty good for us right now.
Well, congratulations. Even though the final score said 4-2, at least 2 of your gals put the ball in their net, and a shot in the arm for both the gals and the program.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting there that we have 2 leading scorers and we have somebody leading in assists now, so that makes it nice.
Well, congratulations on the effort and good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
That's women's coach Pam Lewin. And that'll do it for this edition of Mastodon Spotlight. We want to thank our coaches and thank the 2 players, Dave Smith, Ian Lulia, and I hope I got that pronounced right. If not, I apologize. And we thank you, the viewer, for tuning in, and we invite you to tune in again next week when we spotlight IPFW athletics. Until then, this is Mike Maas saying, have a great week, and go Dons. It's home stretch time for the IPFW women's volleyball team, and on today's edition of Mastodon Spotlight, we'll be talking to Coach Kelly Hartley to see how her gals are responding and how the preparations are going for the upcoming conference and hopefully postseason tournaments. Also on today's show, we'll be talking with men's volleyball coach Arnie Baugh, looking back at last year's great team and looking forward to this year's Final Four. It's volleyball on the menu today on Mastodon Spotlight, and it's coming up next. Hi again, everybody. My name's Mike Maz, and welcome to another edition of Mastodon Spotlight. On today's show, as we said a moment ago, it's volleyball, and we start off with women's volleyball coach Kelly Hartley. Kelly, welcome back for another appearance.
Hi, nice to see you again.
Since we've last met here on the Mastodon Spotlight show, your gals have played a number of matches. Why don't we fill the viewers in and see how the team's progressed?
Well, since we've spoke, we had a huge win up at Grand Valley. Beat Grand Valley in 4. That was a big win for us, and as well as the conference. Then the following Wednesday, went up to Hillsdale and lost, which again was a huge loss for us as well as the conference. And that also had some postseason ramifications. We're making it real tough now to get in the regional tournament. Then over the weekend, we swept both Lewis and Wisconsin Parkside in conference play.
At this point of the season, overall record 17-6, conference record 11-1. Are you happy with the progress of the gals from when the season began to where they are right now?
At times we're just not consistent. Our passing breaks down, our defense breaks down. Those are the first things to break down when we're not playing well. But overall, I'm very, very happy, and I'm very happy with our seniors. They're playing like you would expect seniors to play at this point in the season. Jody Schnelker and Rachel Brown have really stepped up and become leaders for this team.
You mentioned two matches, two big matches, one a win, one a loss, both in non-conference play.
Mm-hmm.
How difficult is it when you're in a conference mode and you've got your conference season in front of you to step outside the conference and play matches against teams that you may be facing again in postseason if everything turns out?
It's tough to travel. It's tough to travel on a Wednesday and play those teams, and those matches are so important. Anytime we play a team from the GLIAC, that's going to give us a common opponent with other teams in that conference. So winning's really going to help us, but losing is really, really going to hurt us. Preparing for those matches, you don't have enough time, and then you turn around and have to prepare for two conference matches that following, after the Wednesday. So that makes it tough.
We mentioned off the air before the show started inquiring about the schedule. This past weekend, the final home matches of the season. Talk about those two matches, not just as far as the team play, but also you mentioned the two seniors and what it was like for them possibly.
Mm-hmm. Friday night was our senior night for Jody and Rachel, and I think a little emotional. Saturday, again, that was our last home match, and I think that their approach to those matches were they were just very focused and wanted to play well. And at times we did. We came away with 2 wins, both 3-game sweeps. But they're the ones that we're starting to hear be a little more vocal on the court. And at the beginning of the season, it was more of our 2 juniors, Laura Douglas and Tammy Ish, who were the vocal members of our team. So it's good to see our seniors step up at this point.
Looking ahead now, we'll forego postseason for a minute. There are still 5 matches left prior to the conference tournament, all on the road. Let's talk first of all about having to play that many consecutive matches on the road and then maybe look at each of those matches and see how things may or may not shake out in terms of the conference race?
In terms of the conference race, we have Edwardsville, they're second in our division right now on the road, so that's going to be a very tough one. And then Indy the following day, and they've been playing well and taking teams to 4 and 5 games. And then the following weekend we go to Parkside and Lewis. We just saw them, so preparing for them won't be, I don't think it'll be as challenging just because we just played them, and we'll approach those matches the same as we did over the weekend since that seemed to work. But before that, we have to go to Wayne State and play well in order to win there, and that is a out-of-conference opponent, a GLIAC opponent, so that's an important match too.
You mentioned GLIAC and you mentioned Wayne State, you mentioned Hillsdale and Grand Valley State and so forth. Let's talk a little bit now about the possible postseason play. First, there is the conference tournament, and we'll get into that in a little bit, but after the conference tournament, if everything could shake up, you could be in a regional with some GLIAC teams. Talk about the possibilities as to maybe who may be in it, who may not be in it, and if we're fortunate enough to be there, how will it have the matches we have played against these GLIAC teams help or not help?
Well, before that loss to Hillsdale, I think we would have been ranked, and that new rankings will come out tomorrow, I think we would have been ranked second in that regional poll, or at least tied for second in that regional poll. After that loss to Hillsdale now, I think we're back to 5, where we were before the GLIAC, or the Grand Valley win. So they take the top 4 in the region, so right now it does not look good. We feel we need to win out, without question, win out, and then going to the conference tournament, approach that where we need to win the conference tournament, which would mean beating Northern Kentucky on their floor, which no one's been able to do in like 47 matches or something like that. So we have a tough road ahead of us if we want to get in the NCAA tournament, which is the weekend after the conference tournament.
Let's talk about the mindset, not only of the gals on the court, but of you and your staff. Isn't it kind of difficult? You can think ahead of a lot of the possibilities for the future, but you have to stop and play one match at a time. You've got 5 matches yet before the conference tournament, much less the national tournament. What's it like both for the coaching staff and for the players to try to focus in on one match at a time?
Well, and that's exactly what we need to do. We need to win one at a time. If we start looking to the conference tournament right now, we're going to be in big trouble because we need to win out first, position ourselves where at least if we get to when we get to the conference tournament, if we win that, we will then have an opportunity at the NCAA tournament. But if those things don't happen, one loss before then, and that just kills you. So we need to be very focused, one match at a time, and they're on the road. As a staff, we realize that communicating that to the kids effectively is the challenging part, I think.
In that regard, how much are you going to rely on your 2 seniors to instill upon the underclassmen the fact that, hey, we can only play one match at a time and we can't look ahead and we can't play 4 or 5 matches at once? How much are you going to rely on your 2 seniors to help you with that?
We'll rely on our seniors as well as Tammy Ish, our setter, and Laura Douglas, very competitive people, because they really understand and they've been there before. So we'll rely on them a lot, especially as we prepare and we need very intense practices. Those are the people we look to push one another.
Let's take a moment now and talk about some of the players. And we talked about the seniors, you talked about Tammy, and we've talked about her in other programs. Who are some of the surprise gals that you've been pleasantly surprised with what they've done on the court this year?
Jenny Miller, who's a sophomore, really prepared herself for the season, got herself in a lot better condition, and she right now leads our team in blocks per game, and offensively has really came through at some key times. So I'd have to say Jen Miller. And then there are times when, and she's not a back row player, she served the ball well and does not hurt us at all. In fact, at times we shake our heads and go, wow, maybe she should be challenging someone for a back row position. Her ball control is very well. So when we get out of subs and she's left in the match, we don't feel like she's going to hurt us. So Jen Miller's done a fantastic job. Amy Grove, a freshman, has challenged for that outside hitter position, one of those positions, and been a starter for a number of matches. So she's really stepped up her play since the beginning of the year. Deanna Brown has really came on lately. She's a left-hander and just very explosive, so we like to have her on the court. She plays really nice defense. And I'd have to say Courtney Boissonette because in the last 4 matches, she's led us in kills per game. So, everybody's looking at Laura Douglas to take a lot of swings, and all of a sudden Courtney is getting the ball a lot and gives us another heavy hand. So Courtney Boissonette has been very good for us offensively.
Now, on the other side of the coin, have there been any disappointments? I know it's a loaded question, not meant to be, but with the plus, there are sometimes minuses.
The Hillsdale loss obviously was very disappointing for everyone in our program. But, individually, no, nothing I can really think of. I think at times we all have a bad day, but at least we're deep enough where it doesn't hurt us that much.
Well, again, this segment comes and goes so fast. I appreciate you coming back for another visit. Congratulations on the season so far.
Thank you.
Good luck, not only the 5 regular season matches, but maybe we'll talk again before conference tournament. And we'll talk about conference tournament and then hopefully regional after that.
I hope so.
Again, congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
Kelly Hartley's been our first guest, women's volleyball coach here at IPFW. We'll take a break, and when we return, it's Arnie Ball, men's volleyball coach. We'll talk about last year and his trip to the Final Four and what we can expect this year with the Final Four coming here to Fort Wayne. That's when Mastodon Spotlight returns in just a moment.
Mr. and Mrs. Jones, Sally's having some behavioral problems.
I guess that reward system isn't working.
Well, the timeouts weren't either.
Parents do find that timeouts aren't...
See?
Well, you're just too lenient.
Well, you're too strict.
No, you are.
No, you are.
No, you are.
No, you are.
When adults don't have the answers, they can feel as frustrated as kids. ConnectForKids.org has thousands of resources for helping kids in your community. ConnectForKids.org, guidance for grown-ups.
For the Mastodon Minute, I'm Sean Lay. Women's volleyball was in action on Wednesday night as IPFW lose a heartbreaking match to Hillsdale in 4 sets. Boissonette and Douglas combined for 34 kills and each had 49 assists. Friday night at IPFW Gates Center was senior night as IPFW's women's volleyball team honored Rachel Brown and Jody Schnelker for their job well done they've done for the past 4 years. Here you see Jody Schnelker with her parents, and there's Rachel with her parents as they accept a gift from Tammy Eash and Laura Douglas on behalf of IPFW Athletics. We want to thank both of these girls for the great job they've done in the past 4 years. Moving on to game action. IPFW was playing Lewis on Friday night, and we will see Lewis serving. And Courtney Boissonette with the kill right down their throat. And here you see Sarah Calhoun with the dig to kill him, and now Sarah is serving. And Boissonette with the kill. And here you see Boissonette with another great kill. Now Meyer is serving. And Douglas puts it and gets the asbestos out of the rafters and kills the ball down as IPFW beats Lewis in 3 straight sets, 7, 8, and 9. Saturday, they were playing Wisconsin Parkside, and there's Douglas with a big ace. And Douglas is serving. And you'll see IPFW soon get the point with... And there's a great Caesar salad place right down the street on Coliseum. Yeah, just beyond. Yeah. Anyway, Boissonette is serving. And here we will see Amy Grove with the kill coming up soon, hopefully. Here we go. Amy Grove with the kill as she takes off the head. Where's that place with the Caesar salad anyway? Isha's now serving. And now you will see the pineapple. Copyright 1991, Lloyd Ball Industries, all rights reserved. Patent pending. And there's D. Brown serving. As Tammy Ish with the kill will be coming up here pretty shortly. As Parkside sends it long, and IPFW wins in straight sets again, 11, 13, and 11. The service errors for Wisconsin Parkside killed them, 7 of them for Parkside, and IPFW only had 4. Moving on to other sports this weekend. Men's soccer. IPFW won all 3 of their matches against Saginaw Valley State, Northern Kentucky, and Bellarmine. They're 13-2-2 on the season. Ranked 12th in the NCAA Division II. Women's soccer could only wish they were that lucky as they finish out their season losing 3 straight matches this week. And here is a list of upcoming events for IPFW Athletics. And for the Mastodon Minute, I'm Sean Lee.
As the American military gets smaller, who will be there to answer the call? They will. They're the National Guard and Reserve, and they make up half of today's military forces. As an employer, you may be asked to support their mission. Remember, their response depends on yours.
Welcome back to Mastodon Spotlight. It is our pleasure now to welcome the men's volleyball coach here at IPFW to the show, Arnie Ball. And Arnie, first and foremost, thanks for coming on the show.
Well, thanks, Mike. One comment, you know, if indeed I come again, you may not invite me back after today, but yeah, Kelly's pretty hard to follow up, so I appreciate going first from now on and let her go second.
We'll talk to the powers that be and see what happens. Last year, a very, very good year for your team. You actually made it all the way to the Final Four, perhaps a year ahead of schedule, as a lot of people thought. Talk about last year's team and the success they had.
Well, first of all, I'm not sure what anybody knows in regards to schedules, let alone the coaching staff, as regards to what you're supposed to be doing. We had a great season last year because we had people step in and fill in when Hector Soto got hurt. You know, Javier Escobar just stepped in and raised his level of play. And as a coach, you know, you work real hard to get a team effort so that if indeed adversity comes along, somebody steps in and does a really nice job, and that's exactly what happened. We had a group of 12 kids that really pulled together and probably met not only our expectations, but maybe a little over and beyond. So it was a great year last year.
I would think, without a doubt, the crowning achievement was actually getting to the Final Four and getting a chance to take them out to Los Angeles. What was that experience like? You've been there before, but realistically, were you expecting to get that far?
I truly believe, Mike, that if you're in this business, that the only goal is to not only get there, but to win the thing. When that doesn't become realistic anymore, then I need to quit coaching. So we start from the very beginning of the year, of the season, of our off-season training, talking about winning the national championship. You know, and certainly there have been times in this program where that's not been realistic. You know, when I started the program 21 years ago, that wasn't realistic. But ever since 1991, when we were a participant in Hawaii, that's always been the goal. And that's the goal you have to set for the players, for the staff, in regards to recruiting, in regards to fundraising, in regards to promoting, in regards to the training of the players. I mean, that is the goal. And of course, to get to the Final Four is a wonderful experience. And it's one that we've had a chance to experience four times now. Unfortunately, we've never been in the finals, and so we got to get to that point so that indeed we have an opportunity to win the national championship.
One last question about last year, and then we'll talk about this year. In that semifinal match, that final set, is there anything that could have been done differently to change the outcome? Your guys played their hearts out, and maybe it was just one of those things.
Well, yeah, I think the one thing we could have done differently was bribe the scorekeeper so that we'd have more points than they would have, or something like that. You know, I mean, we've been back over that thing 100 times, like everybody is. Even when you win, you go back over it 100 times. But I don't know what we would have done differently in regards to, obviously, Hector, that's the first time he had played like in 6 weeks, and I thought he played very, very well considering. Javier played well. We did everything we had to do. We just came up 2 points short.
Let's talk about this year's team. You mentioned off-air that practice is already underway. Let's talk about some of the members of this team and some of the returning people, and as well as some of the new recruits?
Well, I'm in a very obvious, a very good position, one that many people are obvious of, because we have 5 of the starting 6 players back from last year's Final Four participant team, and Chris Gislin, who is our setter, played on the World University team this summer, played on the Pan Am team this summer, has gotten just a lot stronger and a lot better technically. Hector Soto played all summer and played on the Puerto Rican national team and was voted the most valuable player on the Puerto Rican national team. And we have Jeff Patek back and Scotty Lane back, Mike Cummings back. So we have a real strong nucleus of returning players. Certainly we'll miss Brian Harris and Ben Sherman and Javier Escobar and those guys. Ryan Perrott, who was our other starter. But we believe that we've been able to fill in some of those spots, not only in Ryan's case, but to some support people to make our team even stronger. The big thing for us is to make sure our kids stay motivated to actually want to play it and practice at a real high level. You know, sometimes when you have that many people returning, they become a little complacent because they had all the success last year and they think they can walk onto the floor and have success again. So from that standpoint, losing is a motivator. And we try to take that and not only into the weight room but on the practice floor and use that as a motivation to prepare for the upcoming season.
You belong to the MIVA, and there are some powerful teams. There have been, of course, Ball State, which you're an alum of, Ohio State, Lewis lately has been a power. How do you rank the MIVA in terms of where you stand talent-wise as opposed to maybe West Coast volleyball or maybe Penn State in the East?
Well, the last couple of years we've been as strong as anybody in the country. You know, there's always a select team, 1 or 2 teams in the out west or maybe out east, Penn State being the one out east, and of course UCLA and Pepperdine and Stanford and Hawaii, and of course BYU won last year. But the talent level is getting much closer to being equal. The problem that we have is being able to play that top level of competition every match like they're able to do in California. I think as Kelly and I talk about the conference, the GLVC that we're in women's volleyball and having coached in that for 7 years, the problem with that program is that we can't play high-level competition regularly, which makes you a better team. You know, when you end up having to play a lower level of competition, it just makes it more difficult. Not meaning that the MIVA is not as good as out west, because from top to bottom we're not. But the top 4 teams are very strong. Lewis is going to be really good again. Ohio State's got everybody back except one player like us. Loyola Chicago is going to have a good young team. So the conference is going to be good again, but it just isn't enough good teams for us to maintain that high level of play.
We mentioned earlier that this year the Final Four makes a return visit here to Fort Wayne in the Memorial Coliseum. Do you think that could be a distraction as well as a motivational problem for your team?
The tournament that's a distraction is the MIVA tournament. In '94, when last time we hosted this thing, we also hosted the MIVA tournament and lost here at home. That tournament is the qualifier. I mean, that's more important than the NCAA tournament. And when you have that sucker at home, you know, parents come in, and especially when you're hosting the Final Four on top of that, everybody has these grandiose expectations, and the distractions are way, way too many. So I'm very pleased that the MIVA tournament is at Ohio State, just like it was at Lewis last year. Once you get to that point and you're able to qualify for the Final Four, then it becomes kind of like a Cinderella kind of thing. You know, now you got nothing to lose. Now the distractions aren't nearly as great as just qualifying. So having the NCAA tournament here is a motivator, certainly. But I don't think it'll be a distraction like it was in '94.
Let's switch gears for a moment and talk about recruiting. We mentioned that the West Coast has always been traditionally tough, and you got the few select teams out east. How difficult is it for you to have to go out to various parts of various countries and try to recruit the top talent against these people?
The difficult part is the fact that we're a commuter campus and we have no dorms, and the fact that when they go to Ohio State to be recruited, they go to Ohio State-Michigan football game. Or if they go to Ball State, you know, they go to a football game or they see that grandiose arena they play in. And of course, when they go to UCLA, same kind of situation. Go to Pepperdine. It's the most beautiful campus that I've ever been on, looking over Malibu into the, in the ocean. So that makes it very difficult. The quality of education is not a problem. The quality of our program is not a problem because of the success we've had and the interest in the community. But the bottom line is it's very difficult for us to recruit the really top player to Fort Wayne on our campus because we really don't have the kinds of things that attract young people to our campus.
Short of getting the red tape cut and getting dormitories put in, what else can be done to make it easier for you to bring top talent in here?
I don't think it'll ever change dramatically in my life. As long as I'm here. I mean, I can't be here forever, and thank goodness. Because of the mindset of young student athletes that are looking to go to quote unquote a big time program. We just talked to a young player from the Midwest who's a tremendous talent, and he basically said, well, your school's not big enough, you don't offer enough kinds of things that I'm looking for like I can have at Ohio State or UCLA. So what we have to do is be creative. When you go to Canada, for instance, or you go to Puerto Rico, or you go to Germany, or you go to Cyprus, kids don't know the difference, nor do they care. They just want to play volleyball at a quality program that really cares about them, and they feel that they get good coaching, good instruction, and real good fan support. So that's why we end up recruiting outside of not only the Midwest, and very seldom do we recruit in California because it's hard to get a California kid to come to the Midwest. It's really easy to get a Midwest kid to go to California. So we end up recruiting, obviously outside of Indiana, some in the Midwest, but even outside this country, because the perception of the student athlete is they just want to come to the U.S. and get a good education and play on a good team.
The season actually, the fall part, you said practice is already underway. You mentioned that you actually start off this weekend with a tournament. Let's talk about that briefly.
Yeah, this is the first time we've done this, and we're going to have the University of Winnipeg out of Canada, who's been on our campus before, but usually in the winter. And they're just looking to get out of the cold already up there. That's the only reason they're coming in. See, they're coming to Indiana to get in the warm, and I was just in Orlando, Florida, and I want to go back there where it was warm. But anyhow, Winnipeg will be here, Ball State will be here, and Ohio State will be here. We will play Winnipeg on Winnipeg on Saturday and Ball State on Friday. We will not play Ohio State. The interesting thing about it is obviously it's preseason for all of us. Canada's in the middle of their season right now, so they may be a little stronger than the rest of us. But we're going to play the new international scoring system, which is all rally score, 25-point games, which will be totally different than anything anybody's seen here. We're going to play mandatory 5 games, 4 games to 25, the 5th game to 15. And we're also going to use, which we will be using this year, the Libero player, which is a player that can come free substitution, can come in and out of the game at any time. It's being done internationally now, and NCAA has adopted that rule also. So there'll be some different kinds of things happening this weekend that fans have never seen before.
Well, again, we appreciate you coming on the show. Congratulations on the effort last year, and we look forward to seeing a lot of you this year, and hopefully at the end of the rainbow come next, I believe, March, at the Coliseum in the Final Four.
Well, that's certainly the intention and the reason why we're here.
Thanks again.
Thank you, Mike.
Arnie Ball, men's head volleyball coach here at IPFW. That's about it for this edition of Mastodon Spotlight. I want to thank both our coaches for appearing today, and we want to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in to see what's happening here at IPFW. Until next week, this is Mike Moss saying have a great week, and go Dons.
This past weekend, the IPFW men's soccer team concluded their regular season. On today's edition of Mastodon Spotlight, we'll talk with Coach Terry Stefankowitz and we'll see how things turned out. Also, we'll talk with men's basketball coach Doug Knoll and see how early practice is going for the men's team. It's men's soccer and men's basketball on the menu today on Mastodon Spotlight, and it's coming up next.
So what do you think? You hungry?
Yeah.
To be a mentor, you don't have to have all the answers. You just have to be yourself. Do good. Call 1-877-BE-A-MENTOR.
Hi again, everybody. I'm Mike Maz, and welcome to another edition of Mastodon Spotlight. With me today for our first segment, men's soccer coach Terry Stefankowitz. And Coach, welcome back again. And first and foremost, the regular season is over. Where'd it go?
It was the most wonderful season in the history. I've been coaching for 17 years, and this has been a dream come true. Been a great year.
Let's talk about, since we were on the show last, you've had several games, but let's talk about how the season finished up.
Well, in the middle of the week, we had a rain makeup game at Southern Indiana. It was a huge importance for us in terms of winning the conference regular season. We went down to Southern Indiana. We didn't play particularly well. I don't know if it was jitters or what it was, but we did win the game 1-0, and then Saturday, we came up and we played Ashland. And Ashland was from the other region, the Midwest region, and they were a very, very good team. They had just tied Wheeling Jesuit, which is the second-ranked team in their region, 0-0. So we knew it was going to be a tough game, and we won that one as well, 1-0.
So the regular season is now over. And team-wise, the record was?
15-2-2.
And in the conference?
8-1-2.
Obviously, I know you're happy with the way things have turned out. What's been the biggest surprise this year, both from a positive and a negative standpoint?
Hasn't been too many negatives. You know, when you're 15-2-2, it's hard to find too many negatives. Surprise-wise, we knew we were going to be very good. I don't think there's a guy on the team that really felt that we could get to this point, 15-2-2. Our goal was to host the Great Lakes Valley Tournament, and we accomplished that. We'll be doing that this weekend, and I imagine we'll talk about that in a little bit. I guess one of the big surprises is the fact that we had such balance in our attack. We had 3 guys that scored 9 goals and 1 who had 8 goals. So a team couldn't zero in on just one individual. A lot of times they'll force mark one guy, double team one guy. When you've got 4 that are all scoring equally, it makes it difficult for teams to play us. So that was a big surprise.
When we last visited on the show, you had a couple of your players, Ian Luia. Did I pronounce that right? I don't think I've ever pronounced it right.
Ian Luia, from England.
From England. And Dave Smith, one of the seniors. Let's talk a little bit about some of the other players that obviously everyone has contributed so far, but let's spotlight, to coin a phrase, a few of the others. And let's start with the man between the pipes.
Okay, that's Jeff Ritchie. Jeff is a junior from Carroll High School. In 17 years of coaching, he is the best athlete I've ever coached. Jeff could play any sport, quick as a cat. What has changed Jeff's goalkeeping expertise this year is that he's eliminated mistakes. Jeff is typically he's been a gambling kind of goalkeeper. When he makes a save, he sees a 10-yard gap and he tries to thread the needle. And this year, we told him to play simply and play safely. And as a result, he has 13 shutouts to his credit and 7 shutouts in the conference, which is very, very, very good. He's nominated for Player of the Year in the conference, and he's just done a tremendous job.
With a team that has been as potent offensively as your team has been this year, how difficult do you think has it been for Jeff to play in goal, knowing that his team is going to give him some offensive support? Are there times when a goalkeeper, because of the actions at the other end, tends to daydream or fall asleep, and how do you fight that?
Sometimes that is difficult. When the ball's at the other end of the field, you know you're probably only going to get a limited number of chances. You have to be ready. I think talking, communicating with the players while the play is going on, he could spot things because he has the best view of the field. He can spot things and kind of direct the offense, even from his position in the back, and that keeps him involved in the game. Knowing where he is on the field, we try and make Jeff, when we're attacking, we try and make Jeff come up to the edge of the box and help us offensively. Usually, we possess the ball so well in attack that teams get the ball and they just want to kick it long and counterattack us. He plays kind of like a sweeper for us in terms of long balls played into our end of the field. He'll go out and win those, and that keeps him active. He's like a field player, and he's got skills. He could probably start for us in the field. That's how talented he is.
Talk about the relationship between a goalkeeper and his defenseman first and foremost, and how has Jeff's play in the nets helped the defenseman, and vice versa, how have the defenseman's play helped Jeff in making the saves he's had to make?
I think the number one word is trust. Our defenders trust Jeff. Jeff trusts the defenders to do their job. It's probably the first year I've ever had this throughout the 11 players on the field. Typically in the game of soccer, you see a man open, and if you think that perhaps he's not as talented as you, you're not going to pass to him. You'd rather take it yourself. Very unselfish team at IPFW this year. We know that everybody can possess the ball. They know what's expected of them. Defensively, our 2 outside defenders are James Ryland and Clint Canablo, 2 very, very, very tenacious defenders. But the great thing about it is that they don't lose the ball, as well as Brian Knitter, who is our sweeper. That combination of 3 players are so in sync this year. They play together in the summertime. They grew up together. They play together all the time. They know each other's expectations, they know how to get open, and they support each other really well. So they trust each other. I think that's the key to our success this year.
Another player I know you wanted to talk about today is Matt Hine.
Matt Hine, he's a senior. He's from Omaha, Nebraska, and we have never had a national pool player before. A pool player is one in which he's been invited to the national tryouts to make the Olympic team. And he was the only Division II player invited from this region, so that was a real honor. Matt is an attacking player for us. We call him a forward, but Matt is so geared to getting the ball on his foot. He comes back into the midfield to win balls. He's the most technical player we've ever had. And he, as well as Jeff Ritchie, is nominated for Player of the Year. Matt has 9 goals and 5 assists and ranks 2nd in the conference in total points. So he's done a great job for us. He's so hard to tackle because of his change of speed and change of direction. As soon as he gets the ball, people back away from him because they know Jeff's going to make them look bad. So that's been a real plus for us.
This segment's going by awfully quick. Let's talk about the upcoming conference tournament, which, as you said, will be hosted by IPFW.
Well, it's the first time in the history of IPFW that we're going to host the Great Lakes Valley Tournament. This Wednesday, there are a preliminary round in which there will be 3 games played at 1 o'clock. The top 3 teams, the teams that win those 3 games, will come here to IPFW for a semifinal round. The first game is Saturday at 11 a.m. All the people in Fort Wayne, we need you out there. We will play the winner of the Parkside-Quincy game, and then the championship is Sunday at 12:30. The other thing is the Chancellor has given us an opportunity of a lifetime. We talked about the new McKay property, the 12 state-of-the-art fields that we have at IPFW, and the Chancellor has allowed us to play the tournament over there on the McKay property. So our seniors are ecstatic. They get a chance to open these fields and gives us an added incentive to do well.
Well, again, this segment is going by way too fast. I know we could talk for a lot longer time about a lot of other things, but congratulations first and foremost on the tremendous season that your team has had. And to be nationally ranked as they are is a great accomplishment. Conference champs, I do believe, at least in the regular season
conference champs.
Is a great accomplishment. And we wish you and the team nothing but the best this weekend in the conference tournament. And then hopefully the next step beyond in the Nationals.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Terry Stefankowitz, men's soccer coach here at IPFW, has been our first guest. We'll take a break, and when we come back, it's round ball time with men's basketball coach Doug Knoll. That's when Mastodon Spotlight returns in just a moment.
Mr. and Mrs. Jones, Sally's having some behavioral problems.
I guess that reward system isn't working.
Well, the timeouts weren't either.
You know, parents do find that timeouts aren't...
See?
Well, you're just too lenient.
Well, you're too strict.
No, you are.
No, you are.
No, you are.
No, you are.
When adults don't have the answers, they can feel as frustrated as kids. ConnectForKids.org has thousands of resources for helping kids in your community. ConnectForKids.org, guidance for grown-ups.
For the Mastodon Minute, I'm Sean Lee. Women's volleyball was in action on Wednesday night as IPFW lost a heartbreaker to Wayne State. Wayne State took the last 2 sets in a row to win in 5 sets. Each had 35 assists and 5 aces. Schnelker and Boys Net combined for 40 digs. Friday night, the women's team was back in action as they beat SIU Edwardsville in 3 straight sets. Each had 57 assists as IPFW improved their record to 18-7 overall. Saturday, they improved their record to 19-7 overall with a straight set victory over Indianapolis, 13-7. The record is 19-7 overall with 6 games remaining. Moving on to men's soccer as IPFW beat Southern Indiana in a makeup game 2-0. Kramer and Watson scored the goals for IPFW in the 13th and the 41st minute. And men's soccer was in action on Saturday night again as IPFW beat Ashland 1-0. Butler scored the goal in the 40th minute with Smith with the assist, which sets up the GLVC tourney as IPFW is the 1 seed, so we get to host it. This will be held at Hefner Field in the McRae Farm. There you see the Wednesday matches with 2 through 8 playing, or 2 through 7, excuse me. And IPFW, the 1 seed, will play Saturday against the 4-5 winner. Championship at 12:30. For more information, please contact IPFW Athletics at 481-6643. And for more upcoming events, the only sport other than soccer going on this week will be women's volleyball as they have 3 matches against Wisconsin, Parkside, Lewis, and New Haven of Illinois, Friday and Saturday. And men's volleyball started the season sorta as IPFW receives their MIVA trophy for being the conference champions last season, excuse me. As you see the highlights from the Ball State exhibition match they played on Friday night. IPFW is the defending MIVA champion as they went to the Final Four last year and lost in the semifinals of that. They want to improve on that this year, seeing it is going to be held at the Coliseum this year for the first time since 1992. IPFW will be strong this year. They only lost 4 seniors last season, and returning a bunch of players, and a lot of good freshmen came in as well. But this year in conference season, it will be very, very tough, as all the teams are also returning a lot of players, including Ohio State and Penn State. Also, new rules are being placed this year into men's volleyball for NCAA, which are going to improve the game and make it faster and more exciting for the viewer. Including in those rules are rally scoring at every set, and the libero player, which is an unrestricted substitution. IPFW will start the season this year in January with the Sports Core Shootout against Concordia of New York and American University Puerto Rico on the 14th and 15th of January. And there you see the rest of the games, home games this year. And there you see the MIVA quarterfinals will be on the 22nd of April, and the finals will be the 28th and the 29th at Value City Arena at Ohio State University in Columbus, Ohio. And the championships will be held May 4th through the 6th at the Coliseum here in Fort Wayne. And for the Mastodon Minute, I'm Sean Lee.
It was called the greatest generation any society has ever produced. They were ordinary people who half a century ago did nothing less than help save the world. Millions served in uniform, millions more served at home, and nearly 500,000 gave their lives. And yet there is no national memorial to honor their sacrifice. It is time to say thank you.
Call now and help build the National World War II Memorial.
Welcome back to Mastodon Spotlight. Our next guest is the new men's head basketball coach here at IPFW, Doug Knoll. And Doug, welcome back to Mastodon Spotlight.
Thanks, Mike. It's great to be back again.
Let's talk about how practice has gone so far.
Well, we've been in it for really a couple weeks right now, and just like any other programs, you know, we've got our dings and injuries a little bit, the minor things that, you know, keep a player out of practice for a day here and a day there, a couple teeth knocked out and a few other things. But the guys are playing extremely hard. They're practicing hard. We've got a great attitude, and we're excited about getting started this Sunday and about the season.
Talk about this Sunday.
This Sunday we have a great experience. We're playing the Simba All-Star team, which is kind of a national team, a professional team out of Mexico. And really on their 8-game tour, they play the majority of Division I colleges, in fact, or universities. They've got 4 Big Ten teams scheduled, Purdue, Michigan State, Illinois, and Minnesota. They play Ohio University. They also play Wisconsin Green Bay and Platteville out of Wisconsin. We were in the middle of their travels from Ohio University to Wisconsin, and got a call. They said, would you be interested in playing them? And we said yes, and they will be an exciting team to watch, especially I believe Michigan State's probably going to be ranked #1 this year in the nation preseason, and you know, playing that caliber, coming in and allowing us to play them is going to be exciting at the same time, and hopefully if they don't beat us by 50, I think it'll be a good experience for our guys.
For the benefit of our viewers that want to come out and watch, what time is tip-off?
The tip-off's 3 o'clock this Sunday afternoon, November 7th. We received the roster ahead of time, and it's like 7'1", 6'11", 6'10", 6'9", 6'8", and on down, and a lot of them are 26 to 32 years old. So it'll be really a very good national team. And our goal only is to get better each and every game. We could have scheduled somebody that maybe we could have beaten, or somebody that we knew that we could play with, and we don't know with this team. We know they're going to be very good because of the caliber that they're playing with, but we're excited about it. Hopefully the fans will come out, support it, and we can get our exhibition season kicked off this Sunday.
You mentioned it is an exhibition, so the score in a sense doesn't really matter. From a coaching standpoint, what do you look for in terms of what do you want your kids to accomplish in a game like this?
Well, really, you're right. The score is not indicative, except the fact that, I mean, if it's just a total blowout. But I really believe, we're going to be ready to compete. We're going to do some things. We have Kent State on the schedule this year, too. And, that's maybe kind of a similarity of that competitive nature. So we're going to try to, just go in knowing that it's our first game. They're playing a game a day earlier. Making the travels over here to Fort Wayne. So we want to play everybody. We want to try some things. We're going to just get out there and really, with our first bit of competition this year against another team, we're gonna try just to improve and play the best team we can at that particular time, and then evaluate it, look at it, see what we need to improve. And my only concerns right now is we've got a couple kids on our front line that aren't available. They're very big, so we're going to obviously do a lot of pressing, a lot of trapping, things like that, getting up and down the court. We want to just be able to just go 40 minutes all out, and really that's our goal. We'll let the dust settle, see where, see what we have accomplished or not accomplished, watch a lot of tape, and then go back to the next day of practice and start working from there.
Spend a moment, if you can, Coach, on what a typical practice is like right now for IPFW basketball.
Well, first of all, let me just say that I've got a bunch of great kids, or we've got a bunch of great kids this year. My assistant coaches, Joe Pachota, Dave McInnes, Lawrence Jordan, and I've really been excited about the guys, how hard they've worked, and the intensity they've brought. In some cases, they're almost too nice. And we're really trying to get that out of them. I mean, Randy Spicer led the league in assists last year. He's a 3.6 GPA. He's already got a job in an accounting firm here next year. He's been recruited by all kinds of accounting firms and things in Fort Wayne. And we've really got a bunch of really great individuals. And sometimes that's great on the outside. On the inside, you want them to be a little tougher. We really need the bad guy, really, to get on guys in practice if we've got some times when we're not as intense as we'd like. But we start out every day with some individual work right now. When we start out early in the season, we'll go for the 2.5-hour time slot with a lot of individual improvement. To begin with, we break up our point guards, our wings, our posts, and we've got different coaches at different areas in the gym working, just working on fundamentals, working on skills, doing a lot of things that those individuals will be doing this year. After that, we come in and, we stretch. We get into we have it broken down into segments where we'll do a little bit of running and just to get loose. So we'll do a lot of fast break work. We'll get into up and down the court a lot. And then we'll go to a point of defensive drills, situations for maybe an hour, 50 minutes to an hour, and then we'll extend the remainder of the time into our pressing. We'll get into our offense and do some things there. So we're very busy. We go from like 5 minutes each time on the clock, the horn blows, and we go into another drill. We just move very quickly. They don't get many breaks. And when we have some injuries, there's only maybe 12 guys out there. So if we're going 5-on-5, that's just one sub. So we're doing a lot of conditioning as well. And each drill is broken down into, a skills drill, conditioning drill. We even do a lot of different drills, concentration drills, where we may do a drill where we have to make 20 straight baskets. And so we try to push them. As the season progresses, once the season comes, we cut down practice time a little bit. And sometimes in January, February, we may go 1 hour and that's it. But we'll go very hard and then get out because they're playing, we're traveling, and so it's, it wears down the guys.
One thing that maybe a lot of people neglect to understand is that these are student athletes.
Right.
We see them on the basketball court, but they also have to attend the classroom. What's the study patterns like this year for this team? And how much emphasis is there? Because, as you well know, there have been problems in the past with the academic end of things.
Right. Right. And, that's a situation that I don't shy away from. I'm very upfront with people when I tell them that, what was in the past is in the past. I can't control that. What I can do now is control what we have now. So, the first and foremost is to get student athletes in here who can do the job. And I think that's going to be important for us. We only had 3 players back on our roster that played last year. And so we really have to look at that and say, what do we want out of this whole learning process? Well, the first thing is we want them to attain their degree. We want them to enjoy being a student athlete, having a lot of great experiences through basketball. The first thing we look at is, number one, they're going to go to class. And that's mandatory. I mean, if you miss class, then the whole team will run. We'll run at 4 in the morning, we'll run at 5 in the morning, whatever it takes, and we'll run hard so that there's that peer pressure. Now, what we do is the guy who misses the class doesn't run, okay? But he sits in the middle of the floor in a chair and everybody else runs. Okay, so, it's one of those things where after a while in the locker room, somebody's going to tell him sooner or later, you're not going to miss class again. The other thing is, I think it's important, we have our kids sit in the front row. And I think that comes from a standpoint of the distraction area. If you're sitting in the back, all these students ahead of you are doing things, dropping things, whatever to distract you. If you're in the front row, then it's you and the professor. I think the professor feels like, maybe you want to learn if you're there. The other thing is we have study table every night in the library for 2 hours. It's mandatory. We make sure whether you're a 3-5 or a 2-5, you're going to go. And I think guys will push each other that way. And we hope, obviously our goal is not to lose anybody at semester. I think the other thing is you've got to be very selective in who you recruit. If it's a transfer student, you've got to look at, where he's been, where he's coming from. Can he do the work? If he couldn't do it in high school, he's not going to do it at Indiana Purdue. And so I think, you've got to be selective on that. And, the kids we've offered for next year already, we've got one student that's a 4.4 out of 4.0 in accelerated classes. He's number 2 in his high school. We've got another 3.6 GPA. We've got 2 of them over 3.0. So, we think at times you're going to have to maybe sacrifice a little athleticism for the academics, but in the long run, I think that's going to pay off a lot, Mike. And the guys, then they start to buy into that, and they start to feel good about themselves. So, that's our goal this year, and that's first and foremost.
Out of time as usual. Again, for our viewers, Sunday at
3 o'clock, the Simba All-Stars out of Mexico, and then the following Wednesday night at 8:30, we play Basketball Unlimited, which is a group of former NCAA players from all over that will come in. So Sunday at 3, Wednesday at 8:30, and we're looking forward to getting the exhibition season and the season kicked off.
Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Doug Knoll, men's basketball coach here at IPFW. That's it for this edition of Mastodon Spotlight, if I get my tongue untied. Again, support IPFW athletics this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. The soccer team is in conference tournament action. And as Doug just alluded to, on Sunday and next Wednesday, the men's basketball team is on the court as well. So support IPFW athletics. Until next week, thanks for tuning in. This is Mike Moss saying have a great week and go Dons.